the truth about why they cut out this medication during the pandemic. Upon watching a video on YouTube, John Campbell, right, Dr. John Campbell, watching his video, he had one called Arm Ticket Injuries. So the doctor on there is an expert in the entire medical world, right? And so he was talking about a drug that we were all taking in the beginning, or most of us were taking in the beginning, and then they cut out and they called it horse dewormer. Right, that would be ivermectin. So of course, listening to this doctor, and the interview, I'm pretty sure was like a longer interview, but Dr. John Campbell spliced up the interview, I guess, in a few different parts. So the part I happened to watch was the arm ticket injury part. And he wasn't talking so much about the arm ticket in that part of the video. He was talking about that drug that they cut out and told people that they couldn't take. In fact, they told doctors that they couldn't prescribe it. And that if they did, they would get in trouble. Some of them were going to lose their practices, their license. All kinds of threats were being thrown out when they were telling people that they couldn't subscribe or prescribe people that drug. So, of course, guys, when that started happening, a lot of us started seeing the red flags. We're like, wait a minute. If they're stopping people from taking this, they're threatening doctors. They had people going on the internet talking about it was a horse dewormer, and people believed it right out of the gates. Now, keep in mind, I was an EMT. I heard of ivermectin. I heard of it a long time. And all of a sudden, when this Mr. 19 event came around, all of a sudden it was bad to take, and it was for horses. And then the CDC came down on it. WHO came down on it, World Health Organization. Everybody came down on it. Now, come to find out, the reason why they didn't want that drug to make it out there was because it did something specifically to Mr. 19 that was going to be a cause for less people to take the arm ticket. So, of course, I'm watching this video, and when he mentions the pointy protein, I have to say it that way because of, strikes and shit, the pointy protein, spike, that the drug, ivermectin, wrapped itself around that pointy protein, preventing the immune system from accessing it, which then in turn started inflaming the bodies and did all the things it did. So ivermectin had a twofold approach to Mr. 19. And with that, when they started noticing that it was making people feel better a lot faster, it was getting oxygen into your blood or oxygenating the blood a lot faster than doing it on its own naturally, right? So obviously if you had a severe case of Mr. 19, your oxygen stat was lower because of the issues it caused in the lungs. And he explained it a lot better. The issues it caused in the lungs. Now, with ivermectin, it protected the body from the pointy protein spike and allowed oxygenation a lot faster within 24 hours versus doing it on your own or having to not take that drug and having anywhere between 10 to 15 days for your blood to be oxygenated to a point where you're breathing fine, right? Where your oxygen stat is at 100% or 99 to 100%, right? When you had COVID, it dropped down. I'm not sure what it dropped down to for certain people, but your oxygen level dropped down. When you took ivermectin, within 24 hours, you were feeling better. Within 24 hours, your oxygen blood level was up again. So, now looking at the video, I'm like, and that's why they wanted people to not take that drug, is because they wanted to push the arm ticket. But the arm ticket had a lot of problems. Now, I'm going on a limb to say if you are taking the arm ticket, you could possibly take ivermectin to protect yourself from the pointy protein, spike protein that's within the arm ticket itself. So maybe that can quell the problem. But again, it's a maybe. I'm not a doctor. But when I started putting two and two together, I'm like, maybe it could help. Maybe not. Nonetheless, guys, they shunned every doctor. They were, again, threatening people left and right. Doctors were told not to prescribe a medication that was still on the market and that could be prescribed. But doctors were being forced by the CDC not to prescribe it. And this is where we run into, because now it's perfectly fine. You could prescribe it all you want now, after everything's said and done. But beforehand, it was the dewormer. And that's to show you guys how information works and how easily we can get lied to and how easily people believe the bullshit. The putting things over your face, that was an outright lie, and people believed it. People are like, well, as long as I have something, no. It had to be a specific mask for Mr. 19. Not anything over your face. Not a bandana, not a fucking surgical, a specific mask. And people believed it. Because they wanted their partial freedoms back, they were willing to accept whatever information was given to them. Meanwhile, the rest of us, the kook band, the crazy dudes, the people who were yelled at, motherfucked, and all this other shit because we took a stand against this entire charades. We took a stand. We were crazy. We were psych patients. Now all of the studies are coming out stating that we were all, in fact, right. And we were right because a lot of us listened to doctors who that was their wheelhouse. Their wheelhouse was whatever it was. Was it wearing a surgical mask? Was it taking an arm ticket? Was it taking, the drug that they didn't want us to take, that they banned? Or drugs that they banned? Those doctors, that was their wheelhouse, and we listened to them because they were speaking out against it. Now, if those doctors would have sat there and said, listen, this is bad, you might need to take the arm ticket because that's our only choice, a lot of people would have been like, all right. But when people are breaking down scientifically why the arm ticket wasn't working, that's when I started listening. When people were breaking down scientifically why ivermectin worked, I started listening because it made sense. And it also helps that there was a little segue into the medical world when I was an EMT going back as far as 2000. And a lot of things were told to us over the next 20 years. And all of a sudden, the year Mr. 19 showed up, all of this shit worked. All of these things didn't work. Like they were flipping the stories around. And that's what we had to be careful of. And that's how I knew it was bullshit when they started talking about the putting something over your face and how that would help. When it didn't help at all. Not even a little bit. But all of these bullshit studies inside of 3 months came out saying how it did, how it worked. Whatever it was. But for the face covering, they had all these studies come out within weeks of making a claim that it helped. Weeks saying, oh, it does help. Those kind of studies still take a year or so to actually get all that information in, and not weeks. Anyway, we were lied to. More of the truth is coming out. Here's the big problem. When something actually does happen, who are we going to believe? Because if the next thing that comes out happens to be legitimately deadly, and it is a problem, how many of us are going to sit there and go and stand against the government or not believe it and possibly wind up perishing because we didn't take the warning? Now, I take anything that comes seriously, and I will protect myself from it, but I will also listen to other people who are talking out against it as well, just in case. It's better to protect yourself and then go, all right, we don't have to fucking do this much, than it is to be cavalier and then wind up passing away from it because you misjudged it. Right? So always take precaution, but always keep your antennas up and looking for the truth. Other than that, guys, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching the Angry Truth channel.